Okay, can you please state your name?
Hi, I'm Matthew Hemphill.
And then can you reflect a little bit about your internship experience and what sector of construction it was?
Yeah, sure. So my only internship experience so far has been with a specialty contractor doing electrical work. Most of my work was done in the office, which I know is different than a lot of people's first times with an electrical contractor where they get put out in the field. I worked in the office doing estimating takeoffs, RFIs, submittals, and I helped my superintendent and project manager come up with a new operations budget for a project they were working on.
How did you create the new operations budget? Was it through
Uh,
Excel or something else?
Yeah, so I did my own estimating takeoff of like an entire building, basically just like our estimating team did to make sure they didn't double count or miss anything big. And then I went in Excel and used pivot tables and queries and stuff like that to kind of disseminate the information in such a way that it was easier to pick out parts and pieces.
That's awesome. What company was it?
The company was Helix Electric.
Okay, I thought it was that. I just didn't want to say it wrongly. Okay. Oh, it says please do not name the company. Okay, we'll carry on. Um, what did you like best about your internship experience?
The thing I liked best about my internship experience is that I worked in like this satellite office. And so I was in like a 10 by 10 room for most of my internship with my project manager, superintendent, and project engineer all working like within 5 feet of me. So anytime I had a question, I could just literally swivel around in my chair and ask the room.
Yeah, that's nice. That's how my company was on site, but like in a small confined space. So I could be like,
Yeah.
hey, I have a
Yeah. What's
question.
up?
Yeah. Um, what did you like least about your internship experience?
So there were like four other interns and they all worked in the main office and I was the only one who really worked in like a satellite office. So I felt like I didn't really get to interact with anybody in the main office at all. And so I kind of like I had a great experience with the people that I did meet, but I didn't really get to interact with like any of the higher ups in the office or stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was your greatest learning moment during your internship?
So one time I was slip sheeting some new documents into Bluebeam, and I didn't mark some of them as superseded, and I did some of them in the wrong order. And our superintendent on another job was going through them, and he was getting ready to put some like junction boxes and stuff down for when they were going to pour concrete. And he thankfully he realized that he was looking at the wrong documents,
Oh,
but he
good.
almost missed like a ton of boxes, and I got an earful about that.
Oh no. Yeah. How did you resolve that? What did you say?
I mean, obviously, I went through and corrected all my mistakes, and then in the
Yeah.
future, I made like double and triple checked every single time I was doing slip
Okay.
sheets.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. What did you learn about, or how did you apply communication on the job site?
Uh, I think I got a lot of chances to apply communication, specifically because, like I said, I was in that environment where I just turned around and could ask a question to anybody. But also, it meant that if I wasn't communicating something, like people would hold me accountable. Like, so there wasn't any excuse for like, oh, sorry, I didn't see your email. It was like, I'm sitting right behind you. Like, I expect an answer to my
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
so yeah, I would say that. I mean, I definitely. I'm not usually like I don't usually ask a lot of questions, but I was in a situation where I felt pressured to ask questions because there was never any excuse for me like, oh, I was just going to work on it a little bit longer before I asked. They didn't want to bother you with an email. So like I learned to basically just say whatever was on my mind.
Yeah, they're right there. So that makes sense. When I had tasks, I would just like always update them and have them double check because I mean, they're
Yeah,
right there and they like see what I'm doing. So,
exactly.
um, and then how did you apply leadership and management on the job site?
So part of my job was helping my superintendent track labor on the job site. So so we went through like a lot of stuff where he kind of had a philosophy of always try to squeeze the rock for a little more than you can get. So he would
Mhm.
like tell our electricians and stuff that we only had like X amount of resources when we actually had like probably like say we were, oh, he's like, well, we can only work this amount of labor hours this week. Well, you probably usually had like 5 to 8 more hours of labor hours that we could actually fit
Mm.
in, but
Mhm.
it would make them think that we were on this
Mhm.
schedule. But then like if somebody fell behind, it was like, oh no, don't worry, like we can
Yeah.
move this, we can move that. So I don't know, it's just like always kind of a philosophy of like I don't know if it's really, I don't know if it's the best philosophy, but making people think that they have less resources to work with than they actually do. And that way, if something
Mhm.
gets screwed up, then it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. There was a debate on my job site with the vice president and senior project executive because he gives like 2 weeks to float. And the vice president was like, no, you shouldn't like push the subcontractors. They should know when it's actually due so they like work on quality instead of speed. But
Yeah.
then the senior executive was like, well, usually there's delays. So it's just like I don't know what the best option is.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you apply ethics on the job site?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Let me think about that for a second.
Okay.
Uh, so I mean, obviously, like when like I submitted a few change orders and stuff, and there's
Mhm.
always the opportunity when you're submitting a change order to maybe bump up your numbers a little bit, saying like,
Mhm.
oh, we have to add this many feet of conduit. Well, you could always bump it up a little bit theoretically and try to get more money, but we never really did that. We tried to always represent as real of numbers as we could because we were a pretty well respected subcontractor, and we
Mhm.
want people to know that if they work with us, they're going to get the best. They're going to get the actual price for the job.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good. And then what did you learn about or how did you apply teamwork on the job site?
So I worked pretty closely. Like a lot of the projects I was working on, like my superintendent and project engineer were like also kind of working on the same project. So it was pretty collaborative. Like I would start looking at, I would basically give him a list of RFIs, and then I would
Mhm.
pass stuff on to my project engineer, and then he would pass stuff on to my superintendent. So we had a pretty good chain of command and flow of work, basically, and I think that was really
Mhm.
important.
Yeah, that's good. It's very efficient being with them too.
Yeah.
Okay. That concludes all the questions. I'm going to stop the recording.